Welcome to the May monthly training with Synergy Homeopathic Software. I'm Lucy and I'll be running it today. Rupali is here to help me with questions. Please, if you have any questions at all about how to work anything in SHS, feel free to put it in the Q&A box or the chat window, and Rupali will be able to read those out to me and I can answer them for you. All right, we'll get started. I'm going to show my program here. If there are any questions, I can start with those. Otherwise, I was going to do a little session on how to, work with rubrics in clipboards, how to work with clipboards, the various things that you can do. So we'll get started that way, unless there's a question right off the bat, Rupali.
Hi, everyone. Lucy, we don't have anything to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll start with that. So I've pre-made some clipboards over here. You'll see on the left, I've got 4 clipboards, and I'll open this first one that's active because it's got the aqua circle around it. And so I've put some GI related rubrics on it. And I just wanted to show you some things that you can do with the rubrics within the clipboard here. We can even make this bigger so you can see it. We can take the graph away for the moment and we could just work with these rubrics. And you can see that rubrics from various repertories are on the clipboard. And some people still don't understand that you can put rubrics from multiple repertories on your clipboard. And you can also add to that, which I haven't done here, but you can also add a reference library search to a clipboard that has rubrics on it. So you never have to, separate all that out. You can put it all on one clipboard. And so I'm going to show you how to combine rubrics. The first thing is I'm going to show you. So for instance, there are a couple of rubrics here that you could combine. We've got a couple that relate to the noise in the stomach. So let's see. Oh, and here's one that's about appetite. So you can see appetite defective, and then the one right above it is also appetite wanting, etc., from 2 different repertories. So to highlight multiple rubrics, you have to hold down the command key as you're highlighting the second, third, or fourth, rubric that you're choosing. So once you've chosen the 2 rubrics that you want to combine, you use this icon up here, which is the make group icon. It looks like a little folder. Or there's a keyboard shortcut that's identical to the old program. And in that, you can also on your keyboard, hit the plus sign. So I just did that. I did that keyboard shortcut. And now I'm going to type a name for the combined rubric. You can name it whatever you wish, and then you click OK. Okay, and so now you can see there's a rubric here, and with the minus sign next to it, it's showing you what it contains. If you were to close that, you only see the name that you gave, and the rubrics that are within it aren't seen anymore. So either way, whichever is your preference. And then let's see, you can also rearrange your rubrics within the clipboard. So do you see I have one here, stomach disordered after sweets, but then I also have eructations after sweets. What if I want to put those together? You can grab it, drag it where you want it. And now I've got the 2 sweets rubrics next to each other. And I can combine those as well. So I'm again holding down the command key. All right. And then I'll use this icon this time. All right. And hit OK. And so that's how you combine and move rubrics within the clipboard. All right. And so let's look at our graph. In order to get your graph back, you simply come over here to this arrow on the far right. See where it says toggle left after I hover my mouse on this little arrow. And there you have your graph back, just back in sight. And you can toggle in the other direction too. You can toggle left to get rid of the clipboard, and now you can see more of your graph. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows you can do those two things. And so here you have a clipboard of the GI symptoms, and let's say that you put some mental symptoms on a different clipboard. Clipboard number 2 has some mental symptoms. And so you can, do the same thing with any clipboard. You can combine rubrics or move rubrics around. Let's say that you wanted to see clipboards. Once you've looked at your 2 clipboards separately, if you wanted to put them together, it's very easy to do. You simply come to this icon right here above the clipboards, and do you see the sign that pops up? If I were to click one time on this icon, it would add a new clipboard below the 4th one there. I'd have a 5th clipboard, but I'm going to double click, and then I get these options. So let's say that I wanted to combine clipboards 1 and 2, the GI symptoms and the mental ones. I'm going to do that. I'm going to select those 2, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on merge. And now you see what happened here. Another clipboard opened up at the bottom. And when I scroll my mouse over it, you can see clipboards 1 and 2 are merged. And then when you click on it, they're all together here. All the rubrics that were on those 2 clipboards have been merged together into one clipboard. And so let's say now that, any questions so far, Rupali?
There is a question, but it's not related to what you're doing at the moment. So when you're done with it, then I can bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so here you have all the rubrics. And let's say that you wanted to look at, some of the mental ones together with, you want to pick the 2 symptoms or 3 symptoms that in your mind are the most important in the case, and you want to look at those together and see what rubrics, see what remedies are in all 3 of those. And so let's say that the noises, let's say the lost appetite is one. You pick your rubrics that are the most important to you, again holding down the command key to pick them. And let's say that this type A personality is very important, so you select that one. It's whichever ones you consider are important. And let's say that the rumbling noises, okay, we could have combined those. Well, let's go with these 2. So we've got 2, and I can click, hold, and drag them up here to the minus sign and see what remedies cross between those 2 rubrics. And a keyboard shortcut also is if you hit Command minus on your keyboard, Command minus, that will put those 2 rubrics up here. And so I'm going to click on the minus sign now, and you see them. And you see that the cross of those 2 rubrics generated 49 remedies. And so then you can look at the graph, and you can tell that this is the elimination graph because it is a filter, and so the purple circle has lit up. And so you can see here the appetite lost. Let's go ahead and make the graph so you can see more of it. It's 49 remedies that crossed, and so appetite lost, that rubric has come to the forefront where there are no spaces. And then also the type A personality you can see here. So those have come to the forefront. You can see what remedies are on both of those rubrics, but you can also see the interplay of all the other rubrics with them as well. And to remove that, I simply click on that purple circle and I get back to my previous chart. And so now if you, let's say you had some kind of strange, rare, and peculiar symptoms in the case, and maybe you wanted to cross, use one of those to cross. And so, like, for instance, the blinking eyes is a smaller rubric. And so you kind of put it off to the side. It doesn't relate to the GI, it doesn't relate to mentals, but it's there. Maybe you want to look at this. So I'm going to copy this rubric. So it's highlighted. I'm going to hit Command C on my keyboard. You can also right click and copy it this way. Oops, make sure that's highlighted. Copy this way. All right. and bring it over to your merged clipboard and add it in. I'm clicking into that clipboard and I'm hitting Command V. You can also do a right click and paste that way. And so let's say you want to add eyes blinking to the elimination. I've highlighted it. I'm going to drag it up here. All right, to elimination. Now I'm going to open that up and you can see it's been added. And now we've eliminated down to 5 remedies and you can see what those are. So you've got the appetite lost, the eyes blinking, and the type A. And these remedies up here listed at the top are contained in those 3 rubrics that you've chosen to cross. Okay, I'll take that off. Now, let's say that you wanted to save this case.
Lucy, before
Yes.
you go there,
Okay.
Willem asked if you could show the merging of the 2 clipboards one more time.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
then, Eve, you've raised your hand. I'm assuming you have a question. Do you mind typing it either in the chat box or in the Q&A box? Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to show you also how to delete a clipboard and then I'll merge it again. So to delete a clipboard, I'm just going to come down here and hover my mouse on the clipboard. I'm going to right click and it gives me that delete option. You also see I have the option to name clipboards when you right click on a clipboard, but I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Another way, I'm going to hit yes. Another way to delete a clipboard is if when you're over here on this, I call it the clipboard manager, and you're double clicking, then you can also delete here. You choose whichever one you want to delete or multiple clipboards you want to delete and click delete. But we've already deleted the one, so I'm going to go ahead and combine again clipboards 1 and 2 and hit merge. That's how you merge clipboards. And here it is again. The merged clipboard appears below the clipboards you already have going. And you can see it's named merged 1 and 2. And again, let's show you how to name a clipboard. This clipboard number 1, I hovered my mouse on there. I'm going to hit rename and I'm going to say GI symptoms. Okay. And of course, you won't see that name unless you hover your mouse on the clipboard, then you see it, it pops up. And for this one, you can name it mentals or whatever you want to name it, and so you can see that name popped up and so on and so forth. So that's how you name your clipboards. Any more questions before I show how to save what we have?
Eve also has a question about how to see his repertory without remedies all the time.
Okay.
So you could take that whenever it fits.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Let me just quickly show saving, and then I'm going to answer that question for you, Eve. So you look at how many clipboards we have going. So the patient management module is, it wants you to make sure you put the right clipboards in the right chart. So let's say that those clipboards that we had going, the small rubrics, the mental rubrics, the GI rubrics, and the merged rubric, let's say that those 4 clipboards need to go to an existing patient. You can either get to view patients and choose that existing patient, or you can click here. It doesn't matter. Either way is going to get you to the charts that you've already created. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save to Existing, and I'm going to say we want to put this in test person. I'm opening that chart. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and hit Save as New. You can see that the date on this one is March 10th, and so this is 2 months later, and I want it to be a new consultation line. So I'm going to hit Save as New. Now, I actually, I don't want clipboard number 5. What I want is 1, 2, 3. Actually 5, is that the merged one? Let me see. Come over here and just make sure. not sure about 6, but I'll go ahead and take 6. It was clipboard number 4 that wasn't related to my case. So I'm not going to take clipboard number 4. That was the reason I'm doing this is I want to show you, you have to be careful what clipboards you put in your chart. You have to make sure you know what's going in your chart. So I'm going to hit save. Okay. So nothing changed over here. When it does change is when you close out of patient management. And so we're going to close out. And you can see that all that's left is this one that had nothing to do with our case. All those other clipboards that we had merged and combined and eliminated and all that stuff they went into the test person chart. And this is all that's left. And I didn't want this one to go in because it wasn't related. So you have to make sure which clipboards are going into your chart. And so to get those back, I'm going to go ahead and close that. You simply just come here again, you hit open, all right, and you click on the consultation line that you want to open, which in this case, it's May 3rd today. And see, they all appear again over here on the left. So let me know if you have any questions about that at all, and I'll be happy to answer more. All right, yeah, go ahead, Rupali.
There's a request from Elizabeth who's asking if you could show the elimination again, please.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. All right, so let's open a clipboard. We'll use the one that we hadn't used before. This is, you know what, I'll show it, well, maybe I should show it the same way since you have a question. So the way I did it before is, let me open a clipboard that we were on. You take the most important rubrics to your case, you know, ones that you want a remedy that you give to be contained in that rubric, because that's an important rubric to your case. So whichever that one is, you pick it out. Let's pick a couple here. Distension with the noises here. Oh, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to empty this out. Just one second. I'm going to empty that. Okay. Okay. Distension and the grumbling. Let's go ahead and take these up to the minus sign. All right. When you cross these two, you get 33 remedies. You can see down here, 33. So the program is looking at both of these rubrics and it's telling you which remedies are contained in both of those rubrics. And you can see the remedies this way by clicking on that show remedies sign, or you can also look at it by the graph. All right. And now you're looking, let's just look at the graph. So distension and rumbling. These two I brought to the forefront, and all the remedies that you see up here on the top are contained in both those rubrics. And then you see the interplay of all the other rubrics around that. And to get back, you simply click on that purple circle and you're back to the main graph. Now, let's say you weren't sure. Let's go back to clipboard number 1 for just a second. What if I wanted to just kind of play around with the rubrics and see, you know, compare a couple of different ones? I can select all my rubrics. I'm going to take them up to the plus sign. And by the way, the keyboard shortcut for that is Command plus. I'm going to open it. And now nothing's crossed yet. You choose which ones you want to cross. Let's say you want to see the cross of the coated tongue with the thirst. All right. I've changed that plus sign to a minus sign. That means I've chosen these rubrics to cross. And when I've crossed these two, now I'm down to 23 remedies. Okay, but you can change that. Anytime you want to, you can change the minus to a plus sign again and choose a different rubric. When you choose a rubric, it pops down to the bottom. So when you've crossed these two, now you have 31 remedies. So you can play around, you know, take all your rubrics up to the plus sign and choose which ones you want to cross up there in the elimination plus window.
Lucy, may I add something here?
Sure.
Generally, um, homeopathically speaking, in a case scenario, in a real case scenario, although technically you could cross any rubric with any other collections or single rubrics, uh, in a clinical environment, generally you're going to choose something very specific and small and say, this is a key characteristic, and whatever remedy I choose has to have this key characteristic. But um, that rubric or that idea will be generally small and specific. So it's more likely that you would cross the first rubric, respiration difficult, dyspnea with wheezing, against a larger rubric like thirst or a coated tongue or restlessness, which are larger qualities that a lot of people have. They're not generally SRP symptoms, like PQRS symptoms. Um, and when you do that, actually, then you're going to see a different interplay in your graph because you're crossing 18 remedies against a group of 153 or 252 or 88. So your eliminated remedies, your pool, your consideration set is going to be much smaller. And that is generally the idea is, okay, you have 200 remedies in your graph, and yes, some of them will pop to the top, but how do you meaningfully differentiate between that large group? And if you can hone in on one or two very characteristic, unique symptoms, then you can say, okay, filter this entire group just for the remedies that are in these two unique rubrics. And then you're going to have a pool of 10 or 12, which is a much easier, more manageable pool to consider than a pool of 252, for example. So generally, if you want this to be effective, you're going to cross a smaller, unique, specific characteristic with your larger rubrics, which are still true for your patient, but the large rubrics don't help you find the remedy. So that's all I wanted to add.
Okay. Thanks, Rupali. Yes. Um, any other questions before I get to the repertory question?
Yes. So there's a question from Shelley, which says, in the patient management tab, please show how to save outside documents from Word, for example, and then how to open them. What are the common mistakes or issues that might prevent reopening of these saved documents?
Okay. And so for instance, first I want to come here to user preferences and I want to point your attention to patient management settings. This is where you choose those outside documents you want them to save where you want them to save. So for instance, mine go to my documents folder. Okay, so that's the first step. Know where your documents are going. And then the next step is, let's go to patient management. We'll actually go to the chart. I think that's still open, yes. And down here, this is where you can select a file. And so let me go ahead, you just click. Okay, so I'll grab this document and I'm going to put it in this chart. There it is. You see where it appeared here. All right. And it's in this one consultation line. I think that's another thing that maybe is a little confusing. It's not in the whole chart. It's in this one line that's open. So on May 3rd, this is where you'll find this. Okay. And then it's saved. And then if we go to my documents, Polly, have you done this? And what am I missing here?
I've done this as part of testing, Lucy, but I don't generally save documents within the patient chart.
Right. I'm actually going to close this and reopen it.
Yeah.
Let me try that.
And Let's see.
And we're going to open this consultation line again. We're going to scroll down to the attachments. All right.
Generally, when I tested it, if you clicked on the attachment, it would open in the application that it's associated with.
Uh-huh.
It
so
wouldn't
that was
open
in
inside the
Word.
program. Yeah.
That was in Word then. I'll have to get let me have that email and I will definitely get back to you on this question. All right, so let's go to repertory module.
Yeah.
And
Actually, Rick Takima has a question about how to make an update from the Synergy program. And then there's another question from Elizabeth, who's saying if you can revisit the difference between updating versus saving as new.
oh, right. Okay.
And how do you delete something if you have saved it in patient management twice by accident?
Okay. All right. So let's first start with the difference between save as new and update. And I'll go ahead and get that chart open again. So here I am, and I've got all these saved clipboards that I saved today. Let's say that I want to go into clipboard number 3 and I want to add another mental rubric to it. I'm going to, go find the symptom that I want to find. Let's say we've got let's say we're trying to find fear of animals. Okay, and so I'm going to add this to the clipboard. All right, you can see that the rubric was added there. And now I want to update. So you have to ask yourself, that's today's date. I've just worked on this. I'd rather update instead of adding a new line that has another line that has today's date. So I would want to hit update in that instance. Let's say I did accidentally hit save as new. Well, first I'll update and then I'll show you. So we're going to do all the clipboards except for clipboard number 1, actually. That was the one that had the acutes on it. All right. And so it's updated. Now, what if I had accidentally hit save as new? And I'd gone ahead and done that. You see how it created another line here? And I didn't want to do that. So what I can do in this instance, I'm going to close. Do you see this X here? I'm going to close all the sessions so that I see the session lines like this. And I'm going to delete that top one because I don't need 2 session lines with today's date. So I'm going to delete that. Sure you want to delete this session? Yes, because it's all right here. And I'm going to reopen that. And here it is. And you can see because I had updated before I hit save as new, this clipboard here did retain the fear of animals on it. If I had hit save as new, created the second line and then deleted it, the fear of animals wouldn't be on there. But I went ahead and hit update first. I hope that makes sense. The other question was
updating the Synergy program.
all right. So if you're on a 1.3 version, then normally when we have an update to give to people, our customers, you'll get an automatic pop-up that says, hey, we've got an update available. Would you like to, and it will prompt you to go through the stages of updating. Every once in a while, the update prompt maybe doesn't show for somebody for whatever reason. User run updater then can be used. But typically, you'll know we have an update also because we'll send out a mailing about it. Did that answer the question? I hope.
I mean, I hope so.
And there was one more question about patient management, I thought. What did I?
So it was just the difference between update versus save and how to delete something if you saved it twice by accident.
Which I showed. Yeah.
Okay. So that's it then.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so we'll go over to repertory module. And here it's this main page of the repertory module that has all the picture icons, the colorful, unless you've got the two-tone or the one-tone. I like the colors. So it's on this page that you make changes to the view. You come over here to this eye icon, and let's say you don't want to see remedies, you choose that. No remedies, don't want to see them. And I also have all the grades showing, no sub-rubrics. I prefer not to have sub-rubrics showing. I prefer to navigate, it's just easier. I don't have my authors showing, but you can see them if you want to. And I don't have my cross-references showing, but I do have my remedy count. So I'm going to hit OK. And now when I go into any chapter in any book, I'm not going to see remedies. They're not going to automatically come up. Now, let's say for some reason I did want to see remedies here in the I chapter, just here, just for this one time only. I'm in the I chapter, and you see there's an I icon within the chapters as well. If I click on that and I say I want to see the remedies and I hit OK, I can see the remedies this one time in this one chapter. Whenever you're using the I icon within a chapter, it's a temporary change. I'm going to X out of this, and I'm going to go back to a different chapter, and you'll see I'm not seeing remedies. The permanent changes have to take place here on the main picture icon page with this I icon. So you want to see remedies all the time, choose it here, and then you will. Okay, any other questions, Rupali?
Actually, just to add, any of your view preferences, whether it's cross-references, remedies, authors, if you want to see them all the time, you're going to do them here in the module. And if you just want to see them temporarily for that one chapter that you're in, then you're going to do them here inside the chapter.
Yeah.
And that's the main difference. Just remember, when you do it temporarily, it is only in place for as long as you are in that chapter, in that repertory. As soon as you close this chapter with the X on the top left where Lucy was, then that setting has been erased. And now when you open another chapter from a repertory, it's going to hold to the view settings that are here in the main module.
You're back to what you've chosen on the main page here.
Yes. Yeah.
In any book, all of them. Just because I made the change on the complete 2024 here, it's going to show up anywhere. Once I set that, I can be here in Murphy's, and I'm not seeing. I mean, I would actually if I went further. This is a zero count remedy, but here are the rubrics because I have them turned on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's two levels of flexibility. You have like a global level, and then you have a local level. So, using a homeopathic analogy. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else. No more new questions, Lucy. So if you have something prepared, or if you want to go back to clipboard manipulation, strategies, filters, we could do that.
Let's see, I've shown merging, I've shown elimination. I'm just looking at my notes here. I mean, I think I covered naming clipboards, deleting them, merging them. One other thing, I guess, about the clipboards that I could show is
you could show comparing clipboards.
What's that?
Comparing clipboards.
Oh, comparing. Okay. Sure. If you want to compare clipboards, you can just click on this clipboard manager again. And you can see also when you've named a clipboard, it actually shows the name when you open the manager of the clipboards. So let's say I wanted to compare these two. You highlight them, you choose them, and you hit compare. And you get the comparison that comes up like this, where, you can see them side by side. I've never really used this feature, Rupali. Do you use it much?
Not much, but I have used it occasionally. It's another way to compare remedies for me, or maybe a slightly different selection of rubrics on a clipboard,
Mhm.
or even two exactly similar clipboards. I would compare using different strategies on each clipboard. So maybe on the first clipboard, I'm using a regular strategy using number of rubrics and grading. And on the other clipboard, with the exact same rubrics, I'd like to use the strategy of small remedies and then see what's coming up depending on the. So it's more of a comparison of strategy. The clipboards are exactly the same.
Right.
Um,
That makes sense. That's
And
good.
sometimes I'm comparing slightly different rubrics. Another time I like to compare clipboards is instead of merging them, I keep my mentals clipboard separate and my physical symptom clipboard separate. And then I like to see side by side which remedies are coming up if I just look at the case on the mentals only versus the physicals.
Uh-huh.
And because they're side by side like that and not merged, it's sort of easier to look at which remedies are floating to the top just based on mentals and just based on
Uh-huh.
physical.
Right.
Whereas if you merge them, you're pretty much happy with that entire rubric selection in both of those clipboards, and you just want to see what the combined case brings up, when you merge.
Uh-huh.
But in this case, I really want to see if what comes up in the mentals versus what comes up in the physicals.
Right. Okay.
Um, okay, so we have a few more questions. And Dr. Chetna, I see you raised your hand. So if you don't mind typing your question in the chat box, it's easier, or even the Q&A box. So Riek is also asking if we can show how to use sensation analysis. And Geeta, who is new to Synergy, has a basic question. Do the colors of the squares in the graph have any significance?
They do. So if you're on a waffle graph, I am on a waffle graph right now, and I'm going to turn on number graph and you'll see what the significance is. The black squares mean that, for instance, arsenicum is a grade 4 in the daytime expectoration, the second rubric here. It's a 3, it represents the grade of the remedy in the rubric. And so if you add those numbers up, it equals the total up here on the top line. And so by default, the clipboards and the graph comes in and you're looking at the number of the remedies in the rubric. You're looking at that grade total, that's what this total is.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, to add to that, if you don't want to turn the numbers on, generally the lighter the square, the lower the grade, and the darker the square, the higher the grade.
Right. And you can change these colors under user preferences. If you don't want to have the colors that you see here, and you want them to be like red for number 4 or whatever, you come here and you make the changes here on grade color. Then your graph will be whatever you want it to be in terms of colors for grades.
Yeah.
That's under clipboard settings.
I don't know that we have enough time to demonstrate sensation analysis. So Riek and Lucy, I'm going to suggest maybe we keep that for the next training.
Yeah, because you'll be doing it too, Rupali, and you probably
Yeah.
have more to say about it than I do.
Yeah. And in fact, Dr. Chetna has a question about comparing the same remedy in two different books at the same time. So maybe like a side by side, the
Oh,
same remedy
absolutely.
and two different references.
Okay. So the same remedy in two different books. You can do two different remedies in the same book, your favorite book. There's lots of ways. You come to reference library, and it always comes in on the remedies first. So let's say we wanted to compare China and arsenicum, which were two and high in that graph that we had. I just choose China. It's right here. I'm going to choose, I want to choose a certain book, perhaps. So I open the remedy. All my books that have information about that remedy are listed underneath the remedy. And so if I come in here, let's say I wanted to go to Fotox, and I'm going to hit return to put that tab on the right side. So now I'm looking at China, Fotox. Now I'm going to go find arsenicum. It's here, and I found that specific arsenicum by putting a period after the abbreviation that hones in on the one that you're looking for. And I'm going to open this book, and I want to get down to Fotox. Now, what I want to do, actually, I didn't have to put the highlight there. You just have to hover your mouse, right click, which on a Mac is control click, get this menu option of opening this in a new window. All right, so now I'm looking at the arsenicum in Fotox book, and the other tab that you can't see right now is the China. And if I want to look at those side by side, I'm going to come over to this icon, compare tabs side by side. Now I want to bring the China tab forward, so I'm going to select that one, hit OK. All right, and so now you can read them side by side in the same book. And, you can get down and say, okay, the aggravations, the ameliorations. Now I've scrolled, so I can't see which is which. You just have to hover your mouse on the tab, and it tells you at the status bar which one you're on. At the status bar at the bottom. Now, if I wanted to look at just China in two of my favorite books, first I'm going to undo this by just unticking and hitting OK. Now I'm back to the single view. Okay, so it's in Fotox. I'm going to go ahead and X out of that tab because now I want to see China. And again, I'm going to go find China in, let's say I want to see it in Chaudhry's. And so again, to get a second tab, if you already have a tab up that you want to keep, is the right click, open in a new window. And now here I've got China in two different tabs, two different books. So, and let's say you have a favorite book. So now I'm going to X out of this and show you how to, let's say you want to go explore Chaudhry, several different remedies within that book. You find the book, you open it, you move the mouse into the book, and you type the remedy name that you want to find. You click on it. That puts the first tab. All right. Let's say we want to compare arsenicum. Here it is. Right click, open in a new window. So now I've got the two remedies that we're looking at in the same book, and I can go either back and forth by clicking on the tabs, or I can again come over here and choose the one that's behind, needs to come forward, hit OK. And now you're looking at two different remedies in the same book. So it's very flexible. You can approach this, however you want to regarding books or remedies. Questions on
Also,
that?
well, no, there's no question, but I was going to say just the way Lucy demonstrated how you can get a second tab open up there with a second reference. You can open multiple tabs, either comparing different remedies or comparing different references on the same remedy. You could have, I think, 5, 6, 7. I haven't tried
Right. You don't have to limit to two.
Yeah.
The only reason I pulled two up is because you can only put two side by side,
Exactly.
but you can have multiple tabs.
You can open as many tabs as you want, and you can bookmark those tabs also if they're very significant or that you find something really useful. You can bookmark them and then go away, even shut down your program. And then when you come back, you can find your bookmarks. Lucy, do you want to show that?
Yeah, sure. And so let's say you wanted to bookmark this page. I'm just going to click here and you see where bookmark, add or view. I have add selected, and that's what you want when you're adding a bookmark. And it doesn't matter what color, your favorite color, you choose it and you hit OK. And you can see over here on the tab, the little bookmark appeared. But when I close this, let's say I close this, but I want it back the next day, I just come back over to bookmarks and now I hit view. And here it is right here. It's the top one. And of course, if you're done with a bookmark, you can select it and delete it. If you've got a whole string of them and you don't need them anymore, you can certainly delete them, but I'm selecting this one that I chose. And now oops, I must have had several.
It must, the latest one goes to the
It
bottom.
goes to the bottom. Okay, let's
Yeah.
find the one at the bottom then. It's this one, the
Yes.
yellow one.
Yeah, yeah,
There it is.
yeah.
You can tell I like chattery. A lot of bookmarks.
You do. Yes. Okay, great. So,
Any last questions? We got 10 more minutes or so if anyone has any
no,
more questions.
I don't see any more questions, but maybe talking about favorite books, and since your favorite book is Chaudhary, you can show, and we have some people who are new to the program, so it might be useful to show how to pin your favorite books to the top,
Oh, yeah, that is a
the
good
repertory module and the reference work, reference.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to X out of this. So at the top of my program, I actually don't think I did put Chaudhry's up here. Herrings I put Vermeulen. So I've put a couple as well as the defaults are Clark, Fatak, and can't remember the other one. But the way you can choose 5 of your favorite books to put at the top of your references. You simply do that in user preferences, reference library settings. And this is where you see, let's say I wanted to remove Clark's, you just click on the X and replace it with a Sankran book, let's say. Let's see, Sankran's
Solar Remedies.
Soul. Yeah, that's a good one. So now once I hit save, once you've chosen your books, you have to make sure you save the choices. I'm going to hit save. And my program reloads. And you remember I had all those clipboards, so it remembers, oh, you had those clipboards. Do you want them back? Yes, I do. You hit yes. And so now when I go to the reference library here and go to books, you can see that the Sankran Soul of Remedies is now here. And you can do the very same thing in your repertory module. You got reliable Murph. Right now I'm going to put the complete 24 at the top because that's one that I recently added. I'm going to go to preferences, repertory settings, and I've got 5, so I need to X out of one. I'll X out of suggested for the moment, and I'll go find, I clicked into that box that has the repertory names, and I'm just going to type, well, I don't even need to type, it's right here at the top of the dropdown. Now, if I wanted that at the top of my list, then I would X out of these others and get it in first place. So that's going to put it in first place. And then maybe I want the same repertory next. I'm going to select that and I'll go ahead and put QRep next and reliable. And Murphy's, I'll go ahead and add. And so the drop down is all, it's there. You have to make sure, again, you hit save. So I'm going to come over here. So click outside that so that I can see save. I'm going to hit save and reload. And yes. And then when I come here, you'll see that the complete 24 is at the top. It's in the order that I put them. And then all the others, all the completes kind of float up to the top with the reliable. And then everything else is alphabetical underneath that. Of course, you have access to everything, but the favorites can be at the top. Any other questions on that?
No, I think everybody's happy with the answer so far. No more questions.
Okay.
Um,
I'll just quickly show one other thing in the clipboard while we have 5 minutes or so. If you want to go straight from a remedy to the materia medica, you can do so if you hover your mouse on a remedy name here in the graph and right click. And again, the right click, which is control click on a Mac, it gives you the menu options. And so I had hovered on phosphorus. I can go view it in the reference library. I can view a PDF about it. Not all the remedies in our program have the PDFs, but a lot of the polycrests do. Go look at the remedy on the website, go to provings.info. You can view the remedies family. Let's click on that. And so here we have, it's the phosphorus, and you can just kind of view. I showed somebody this the other day in a training and they were blown away. They loved it. You can view all the relationships that phosphorus has by clicking on that. Another way to filter it, so there's that where you can take yourself to a different place than the clipboard. Within the clipboard, you can also do filtering if you want to just see the animal remedies, just the plant remedies, just the mineral remedies. There's also much more intricate filtering with this icon here, which is in the clipboard, and it's also in, you'll find it all over the program. The icon that looks like this. It's in global search, it's in repertory module, and it's in reference library and here. And so, for instance, if you wanted something more honed into certain plant kingdoms, you didn't just want broad, all plants, you would come in here and find that. Let's say you wanted to find the Magnoliae. Let's say you wanted to find this in your chart, your current active chart. You can apply a filter. Oh, and there's nothing from that family. No big deal. You just go search for another one. So you got one Piperaceae on this particular clipboard. And so that's how you can filter within the clipboard. And not just by kingdom, but you can filter by remedy or by miasm. Now I have the traditional miasm line showing, which I turned on here in clipboard settings. You can choose to look at your miasm line all the time in your graphs by turning this on. And I've selected traditional miasms, but let's say you wanted to look at a different kind of miasm. You want to see Rajan's miasms, for instance. You can choose that. And it's a filter now because I had traditional miasms set as my default. So this is considered a filter. That's why you get the purple circle. But now I've switched that traditional miasm line to the Rajan miasm lines. And to understand which color is represented by which miasm, you hover your mouse on the square and it shows you at the bottom on the status bar. And to go back to traditional miasms, you just click on the purple circle.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on that?
No, there are no questions, but I want to add, if you wanted to permanently change the miasm line to another, either Dr. Shankran's miasms or no miasms, then you would just toggle the hide show button here to hide.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you wanted to have them on, but you wanted Rajan's miasms, then you could pick that and you would have that permanently then.
Right.
Instead of using it
Lots
as
of flexibility. There's lots of choices.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much set your program up to look however you want it to. I think some other changes are coming down the pike as far as you can even maybe hide your kingdom line down the road, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
yeah. Good. So I think that's all the questions, Lucy.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And we're about out of time as well,
We
so
are out of
so
time.
much for coming.
Yeah.
So next month, it's, Rupali, do you know the date of the first Friday?
Friday is the 7th.
Oh, it's the 7th on a Friday. Okay, and we'll talk about sensation next
Yeah,
month.
we'll see if people send in questions and what kind of session if it's shaping up to be. And if nobody has any specific questions, we might end up making that a sensation session.
So everyone have a great weekend, and we hope to see you next month. And feel free to write to us. Write to either Rupali or myself if you have any questions at all. We're happy to answer them.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all your participation and all your complimentary remarks on the chat box, which I will share with Lucy later. And have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.